3811.
No brag, ladies and gentlemen. No brag, just fact. I know the Constitution better than Mr. Mueller and better than those men and women in the Southern District of New York. They know nothing about impeachment. Now, here's something for you to think about. I will say it. It will be repeated tomorrow. It will be on the news, so stick with me. Stay here. This can be complicated stuff, and I'm going to make it as simple as possible so even a liberal can understand it. The matters that we have been discussing, Mr. Cohen, Mr. Pecker. Yeah, I know, there's 1,000 jokes there. Mr. Cohen, Mr. Pecker, those matters. When did those matters occur? When did those events occur? So those events occurred before the president was president. So not only did he not violate these campaign laws, those matters occurred before the president was president. In 1873, when the House of Representatives, this is from Forbes magazine some time ago, when the House of Representatives was considering the impeachment of Vice President Schuyler Colfax for allegedly fraudulent acts that occurred prior to his election, the House Judiciary Committee determined that impeachment under the Constitution, quote, should only be applied to high crimes and misdemeanors committed while in office, and which alone affect the officer in discharge of his duties. That is, the events that are being examined for impeachment, according to this Judiciary Committee in 1873, focused on the vice president at the time, must be events that occurred while the president was president, or in this case, the vice president was vice president. High crimes and misdemeanors at the time you're holding office. Vice President Colfax, whose term was set to expire within weeks, was not impeached. Now they go on. But in 2010, District Court for the Eastern District of Louisiana Judge Thomas POTUS was removed from office after he was found guilty on 4 articles of impeachment stemming from charges that he had accepted bribes, used a false name to elude creditors, and intentionally misled the Senate during his confirmation hearings, all actions which occurred prior to his appointment to the federal bench. The issue of the timing of the misconduct appears never to have been raised during the Senate impeachment hearings. Arguably, a clear link existed between Judge Portis's wrongdoing and his service as a federal officer. Nevertheless, no clear-cut answer lies as to whether a federal official can be impeached for past wrongs. Now, even during the Constitutional Convention, the debates over impeachment really focused on this new office they were creating, a president. And it was clearly understood. If you read the transcript in Madison's notes, or read Madison's notes, there is no transcript, that a president is different from a judge. He's even different from the vice president. He's different from all other civil officers subject to impeachment because there's only one president. There are 1,000 federal judges. One president. It's looked upon differently. Even the memos that the Department of Justice created over the last 45 years saying you cannot indict a sitting president point out that the president is different. So he's different for criminal law purposes, and he's different for impeachment purposes from other civil officers. Now, why would that be? Anybody guess? Not only because of the unique nature of that office, but because he stood for election. Federal judges don't stand for election. This federal judge lied to the Senate Judiciary Committee during his confirmation hearings. So to say that he conducted himself and was found guilty, or not found guilty, but he had committed acts of bribery and so forth before he became a judge, that's not all he did. When he was up for confirmation before the Senate Judiciary Committee and was eventually confirmed by the United States Senate, he withheld material information from that committee. The President of the United States stood for election. To the extent the American people knew anything about the Russia interference in our election was only because the Obama administration withheld that information from the American people until the very end. Till the very end. Donald Trump wasn't president of the United States. He didn't withhold any information from anybody. Moreover, it wouldn't matter. He was elected president of the United States, not appointed, not confirmed to some other position. I hope you're with me on this. This is all very, very important. It will all come up again. Moreover, again, the judge misled the Senate. President of the United States was elected. They knew about these women. They knew that payments were made. So not that that even matters. It's just a different process altogether. The president in office hasn't committed any offenses. And I would argue what he's being investigated for aren't offenses either. But Mr. Mueller wants to create a scenario in which he can say the president obstructed justice by coming to the defense of his dear friend James Comey and others. That the president intended to, was seeking to, took steps to obstruct the Russia investigation. He failed to do it. He was ineffective. But that's what he did. And then they'll go to his tweets. And they'll go to his demands over Sessions and all the rest of it to make this bogus case for impeachment. If you are a conservative and you are a broadcaster and you believe in the Constitution and you believe in the rule of law, now is not the time to play games. Now is not the time to position yourself for your career. Now is not the time to show that you're level-headed, that you actually look at the events, and you balance it. Nobody cares about that. There are times at which you have to do what's right. And some of these broadcasters are never Trumpers. They didn't vote for Trump, which they don't reveal. If you believe in the Constitution, you must stand up now. Whether you agree with the president on this policy, that policy, or another policy, this is a different matter altogether. We cannot have prosecutors in the U.S. Attorney's Office, in any U.S. Attorney's Office, let alone the Southern District of New York, any fabricated office, the special counsel, who are in the business of writing impeachment reports. Or no president will be able to function properly. This is our republic. This is our Constitution. It has separation of powers. A debilitated president is a disaster for a country. And yet that's what's going on here. The effort to debilitate Trump, the effort to burden Trump, the effort to make it impossible for him to do what he's supposed to do under our constitutional order. This is an attack on our constitutional order. How many more U.S. attorneys will jump in? And as for Jeff Sessions, I spent a lot of time at the Department of Justice, the same place where he is. Spent a lot of time working for an attorney general. I'm well familiar with the office, the conference room, which floor it's on, and all the rest of it. And when he says they're going to apply the law, they're not going to be political, he already blew it, because his deputy attorney general, as acting attorney general, appointed Mr. Mueller. That is a special counsel. It was purely political. He couldn't stand the pressure from the Democrats and the media, and quite frankly, Comey. There was no basis for it.